Hey, Salem Red Sox fans, we've got another edition of our interview series. We're still trying to come up with a name, so if you want to have a name for it, feel free to drop it in the mentions. Gabbing with Greg, Good Times with Greg, I don't know, something like that. I'm Greg Wong. I'll be the new voice of the Salem Red Sox this season, if there is a season. But in the meantime, I wish I was talking to you under better circumstances, but we're still trying to pump out as much content as we can. We're interviewing a bunch of Salem Red Sox players past and present, and today we've got another good one. Rio Gomez joining us from San Diego, California. I'm in the Bay Area, out in California. I was about a couple weeks before I was supposed to move out to Salem when the quarantine hit. So I'm still in the Bay Area in California, but Rio is down in Southern California in San Diego. So Rio, first of all, thanks for joining us. And how's the quarantine treating you?
Yeah, Greg, good to be talking to you. Wish we were talking in person in Salem and under better circumstances than this right now. But quarantine's been all right. You know, it was quite the adjustment period for the first couple of weeks. But now that you get into the groove of it, it hasn't been all too bad.
You know, I was talking to your teammate Nick Lavello about some of the things he's doing during quarantine, and it was just an array of things that you would hear from somebody that's just got nothing to do. He's watching a bunch of new shows on Netflix. He said he'd never watched The Office before, which is unbelievable. He said he's picking up, yeah, right? He's picking up the guitar. So is there anything like that you're doing during quarantine, just new hobbies you're picking up just to kind of pass the time by and have fun with it?
Yeah, new hobby would definitely be puzzles. I've been cranking out puzzles, looking 1,000-piece puzzles, 2,000-piece puzzles, just giving myself a challenge, not even looking at the box, just kind of trying to piece it together while I can. And that's probably been one of the biggest hobbies that I've picked up. I've been doing a lot of reading, not a new hobby, but just more reading than I normally do.
Yeah. Any good shows you're binging right now?
Yeah, I started Ozarks. I haven't watched Ozarks before. Yeah. So I'm in the middle of season 2. I really like that show. Been watching the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary on ESPN. Yeah. Probably the only live TV I've been able to enjoy lately in this during quarantine, since there's no sports and there's nothing else really to look forward to. News is too depressing day after day. So yeah, Michael Jordan's Last Dance has been awesome. Been really into that, and it's been very telling, obviously, since I wasn't around in that generation to watch, him in his prime.
Well, we'll get back to more of some of the stuff you've been doing in a second, but that's a nice transition because Michael Jordan famously in high school, as it's documented in the series, didn't make his varsity basketball team. He would go to the sophomore, junior season.
Right.
And you have a very similar story. You have an incredible story about making it and getting drafted. So I'm going to let you fill in the blanks here, but.
Right. So, yeah, kind of a Michael Jordan-esque story. Obviously not as great as him, but my junior year.
You might be a better baseball player. I told Nick that too. But
my junior year, the varsity head coach didn't think I was quite ready for varsity baseball. So I was put on JV as a junior to repeat again. And then my senior year.
This is high school in Phoenix, right? Yes,
this is high school in Phoenix, Desert Vista High School, Ahwatukee suburb, Phoenix, Arizona. And so I was on JV, junior varsity again as a junior, repeating. And obviously that's very uncommon. So I was the only junior on JV, which was not a fun year. And then my senior year altogether, the varsity coach didn't think I was any good at baseball anymore, and I was cut altogether. So I had never really had any varsity time.
Did you play JV your senior year? Or you just didn't play any?
No, there is no JV senior.
Okay.
You're not allowed to play on JV as your senior year. So I was just cut altogether, which was obviously so I don't really have any varsity time or any varsity stats, which was a very disappointing time and a very tough stretch of my life. Tough stretch of my baseball career when I was 17, 18 years old. And then after that, I ended up walking on to the junior college in my area, Mesa Community College. And that fall we had 60 guys trying out for the team. And the way they ran it was very old school. So even if you were a sophomore returning from the team the year before, it was a brand new tryout. So that included the 60 guys. And there was 3 waves of cuts that fall, and I was able to make it all the way to the very end and make the team, make the squad, and going from no varsity to at least, walking on the JV or walking onto the JUCO team was an accomplishment on its own, and that felt really good. But I knew I wasn't done that yet and was looking for more. And so actually that spring I ended up getting hurt. Didn't even
Before throwing a pitch.
Before throwing a pitch. Didn't even, I did really well in the fall and found some extra velocity and things were looking better. And so it looked like I was going to be one of the starters on the team for that year, but I ended up getting hurt before I even threw a single pitch and ended up redshirting that year. I got healthy and I went and played summer baseball up in Oregon. And that's when colleges started to notice me, thankfully being left-handed, to premium in baseball, no matter college, professional, summer, it doesn't really matter what level. Being left-handed has always been my saving grace. And so at that point, colleges started to notice me. They started to talk to me and ask me, hey, what are your plans after JUCO? Just to gauge interest, gauge where I was at kind of thing, try to, recruit me. And all these colleges were recruiting me for what would have been after my sophomore season of junior college. So one more year of junior college. And University of Arizona down in Tucson came up and asked me the same questions. And so it was looking promising for that fall of junior college that, colleges were going to start coming to watch me, come recruit me. And about 3 weeks before school was about to start, so early August, University of Arizona called me back, the head coach, Andy Lopez, and he said, hey, one of our lefties just tore his UCL and he's getting Tommy John surgery. And we want to know if you want to be a recruited walk-on to the team. And so for me, it was nothing new. It's just another fall of having to try and make a team, just like I did the year before in junior college. And it was a win-win, it was a win-win situation in the sense that if I make the team, I make the team. And if I don't, I go back to junior college, which is where I would have been anyway. So obviously I jumped on the chance, and University of Arizona, powerhouse D1 school, it's little over an hour away from my house in Phoenix. So, and I busted my ass, tried really hard that fall, and
you can say it.
All right, busted my ass that fall and made the squad by the skin of my teeth. And then, another huge, breakthrough and accomplishment of, going from no varsity high school, didn't even play junior college, redshirt, and then boom, I was on the University of Arizona baseball team, and from there things opened up a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to unpack there, but that is a crazy story.
There's definitely a lot.
All right, let's start with, so when you're in high school, first of all, like you said, being on the JV team as a junior, and, I think anybody can relate to just being somewhere where you don't think you're supposed to be, and you think you're in a place where, you don't belong. That's frustrating. Right. And you go from that to not even playing high school baseball your senior year because they thought you were not good enough.
Right.
Was there ever a point where you're just saying, okay, I'm done?
Oh, absolutely. I think I battled with that thought a lot, especially, that senior year of my spring. I guess I used a lot of the junior year on JV was obviously disappointing and kind of, made me feel like I was less than everyone else, but it didn't. At that point, I was just so young and naive that it didn't cross my mind like, oh, maybe baseball is not for me. But then after getting cut my senior year altogether, I debated with that thought constantly in my head the entire spring. Just thinking, should I just go to college and just become a normal college student? Should I keep trying, keep pushing for something that, might not be there? And maybe the writing was on the wall and I was just refusing to read it. And so, I actually had applied to go to college, just to go to college. I applied to San Diego State. I applied to ASU, U of A, a couple of schools in California as well. Just thinking as a backup plan, like, okay, I'll just go to school and be a normal college student and I'll be perfectly okay with that. And, but, it was always wrestling between that thought or just trying to walk on to the junior college in my area. And I ended up choosing the latter, and it obviously worked out in the long run for me. Yeah,
that's crazy that not only, because people, when they think of minor league baseball players or professional baseball players, they think, hey, these guys have been the best players in their area all throughout their lives. And
absolutely.
Then to hear your story about you not even being on the team your senior year, and to take that a step further, when you choose to pursue baseball and you get to a community college, you're thinking, hey, I'll put together a couple good years and then I'll get a good offer somewhere from a big school.
Right. And, even at that point, like I never thought, oh, University of Arizona or like such a big school.
Right.
I was thinking more, maybe I'll go to a small D1, not even near Arizona, because there's not a lot of baseball schools in Arizona or universities with baseball and university. And then I thought, or maybe a D2, just somewhere to just keep playing my baseball career and just at least get to finish out on my terms, I guess was the whole goal.
And then you get hurt your first year, before throwing a pitch.
Yeah.
So what was that moment like?
I mean, at the time, it was just more like my shoulder was just aching and aching and aching. And it was just like, wow, okay, this is bothering me. I need to finally speak up and say something, go to a doctor. And at the same thing, at the time, like I didn't think much of it, didn't put too much emphasis into it, just thought, okay, I'll be back within a couple weeks and everything will be back to normal and just little pit stop. Nothing, everything was just minor and nothing was major. And yeah, obviously, just another obstacle in the course and just, but I guess this whole time I just never gave up. It was just, and it really helped having my dad. My dad was, I guess, my biggest support, and he was my entire support system at this entire time of high school and college, because there really wasn't anybody else who believed in me, because they all saw, oh, cut in high school, JV as a junior, or, walk on JUCO, like, oh, maybe, there just isn't a baseball career here, and he's just trying to force something out of nothing. But my dad was always there. My dad always believed in me, and that really helped me keep my mind on track and stay positive and try to find the light at the end of the tunnel.
And for those who don't know, Rio's dad is Pedro Gomez, who is a longtime ESPN reporter. I know him a lot because growing up going to Giants games, he's always around Barry Bonds, but he's a great reporter. All right, so you get to Arizona, and then you go from I kind of always have to go back to where you began in high school to where you ended up at Arizona. You're pitching in the College World Series. So what were some of your favorite moments from pitching in the College World Series? Arizona made it to the final that year, and I think it was 2016. Didn't win it, but what were some of your favorite memories of that run?
That entire postseason was probably the most memorable and best stretch of baseball in my life. And it wasn't even just because of, how I was doing personally. It had nothing to do with that. It was just that entire month from regionals in Louisiana, and then we did super regionals at Mississippi State, and then we went to Omaha, and it just all felt so surreal. And it was just an amazing stretch, an amazing time to be with my teammates and just to take in this experience and get to enjoy this with my family, my friends, my teammates. And the entire step, we never thought like, oh, we didn't belong here, or, even put this thought into our minds of like how great Omaha would be before we got to Omaha. And so all of it just felt surreal, and like none of it ever felt real. Like the entire time, even when we got all the way to the championship, it just didn't feel like, wow, like we didn't ever have that moment to put that pressure on ourselves. We're like, wow, we're one of the final two teams in the entire country, and like, really weigh it in to see like how much it really was. So it was just an incredible ride, incredible run, and it was just the most fun month of baseball I think I've ever had.
Well, when you're one of those players that ended up getting drafted from those Arizona teams, but I mean, those teams that you were on were absolutely loaded with talent. And maybe some people haven't heard of these players now, but they're going to hear from them.
Right.
Maybe if this year ever happens or next year, because they're right on the cusp of making it to the big leagues, and we have got a couple that are in the big leagues. But can you tell us about some of your teammates from that team and how amazing some of the talent was on those clubs?
I mean, all 3 of my years at U of A, I was just surrounded by incredible talent. And, now that I have the time to look back and, a few years stepped away from Arizona and look back at it, it's just incredible that I was, and how lucky that we are as a team and a program that we were able to be surrounded and have that much talent everywhere around us. And, starting my first year, we had Kevin Newman, who's a big leaguer with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Scott Kingery, another big leaguer with Philadelphia Phillies, Willie Calhoun, big leaguer with the Texas Rangers. And that next year we had a bunch of guys, obviously Bobby Dahlbeck, Red Sox fan favorite, who will be in the big leagues either this year, if there is a this year, or in next year. JJ Matijevic, he's with the Astros organization. Double-A, Ryan Aguilar, Milwaukee Brewers organization, Double-A. Trying to think who else. Then that next year we had trying to think who else. Cody Deason, high draft pick with the Houston Astros. He's in high A. Cesar Salazar, another high draft pick with the Astros. He's in low A. Catcher. Mike Flynn, pitcher, high draft pick with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Alfonso Rivas, another high pick with the A's, who's now got traded to the Cubs. And then so just this past year, guys who I played with who were freshmen, Cameron Cannon, Boston Red Sox, our first pick was last year. Nick Quintana, Detroit Tigers, Matt Frazier, Pittsburgh Pirates. It's just, yeah, it's, you say all those names over and over, you list them all off, and it just feels incredible that you got to be around so many guys that have now, made it to the next level and are making impacts at the next level as well.
Yeah, that is nuts. I think you went on for a couple minutes. The names you just kept rattling off.
And I'm sure I missed plenty of other big, important names amongst all that as well.
All right, so you get drafted, you go to the College World Series, 3 great years at Arizona. When you get drafted to go into the Red Sox organization, right, what was that moment like for you, especially coming from where you came from? I mean, I'm assuming that, and then maybe when you got asked to play at Arizona, I mean, those 2 moments must have been just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's been some great moments in my baseball career and moments that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. And I've just been really lucky to be able to experience all of that. And, what you were saying about Arizona and the draft, and just like what you were saying earlier is that, I was surrounded by all these guys who were high school All-State, high school All-Conference, All-Region this, Mr. Baseball that, Player of the Year that, and even at, Arizona, surrounded with guys who were All-Conference this, All-Conference that, and they All-American, and they bring it with them to the next level. And it was just incredible that I got to be named amongst those names guys where it didn't always feel like I fit in. And so the day of the draft was just the most emotional roller coaster day of my life.
Did you expected to get picked? I'm assuming.
Amazing day of my life as well. And
did you have any expectations going in?
I expected to get picked just because of all the conversation that I had with scouts and teams, and just how everything was leading up to it. It just felt like, okay, it was going to happen. But then I ended up getting drafted so late in the draft, and so it was just a very emotional day where it was just like, it started off exciting, and then as the rounds went on and you're seeing these names go by and your name's not going by, and you're like, oh man, maybe I'm not going to get drafted. The worry set in, the doubt, and then things start to get, not what you expect to be. And then after all this, going back downhill of emotions, then you get picked, and it's just elation all over again, and boom, you just shooting through the roof with happiness and tears, and just I get to be surrounded by my family, and everyone who was important to me was there for that day. And it was unbelievable. And something that was really important that a scout told me after the draft, which helped me put things into perspective about why I was so upset not getting drafted earlier, was that, there's only 2 people in the entire draft who are happy the way the results turn out. The guy who goes 1-1 and the guy who was the very last pick of the final round, because he wasn't expecting to get picked. Everybody else in between that always thought and will always expect and will always wish that they got drafted earlier than when they did, regardless if it was first round, 10th pick, or 36th round like me. And so that helped me put things into perspective and realize, wow, he's right. Everybody's upset, and it's not just me, and that I just need to be lucky and be grateful that I even got the opportunity to get drafted, because there's so many kids who want that opportunity, high school, college, and never get that chance.
Wow, that's awesome. And that's a great thing that scout told you. I think that really rings true. All right. So that's that's just an incredible story. The way you moved throughout your baseball career. So let's transition to how things are going during the shelter in place. As a pitcher,
right,
what are you doing to stay in baseball shape and continue to keep the arm loose, not knowing whether or not you're going to have to pitch this season or not? But
right.
I think we talked to Nick Lavello before. But I think it's different for a pitcher than a position player. So what are the kind of things you probably can't do long toss, but what are some of the things that you're doing and resources you have?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I think being a pitcher, it's easier than being a hitter in that sense, because I don't need a batting cage or somewhere where I can go work on hitting day after day, like a position player will need to, or, even have someone else to work on, ground balls, fly balls, just trying to what they need to do to stay ready. And for what I need to do to stay ready is completely different. And so I think it's almost easier for me because all I need is just a catch play partner and a park that's open. And luckily I've been able to find all of that and have no issue. So I've been able to go to just parks randomly around the area and we just play catch. And that's all, and that's my way of staying ready. I've been able to find a catcher and throw a bullpen here and there when we can find an available mound. And like you said, we don't know if there's going to be a season this year. Obviously, everyone's holding out hope that there's going to be something that takes place. So all you can do right now is just stay ready and just maintain and be right where you need to be. And so on the baseball side, I've been able to do that. I have a 60-pound dumbbell and a pull-up bar. So I've been able to get creative with that and, use that dumbbell for leg exercises, upper body exercises, pull-up bar, push-ups. It's basically I've just had to find ways to get creative like everyone else has to make do with what the best that they have and make it work for them.
Yeah, I think that's what kind of everybody's doing, players or not. You just kind of make the most of what you have in front of you. All right, let's get to a fan question because we crowdsourced some questions for what some of the Salem fans wanted to ask you guys, and one of them that came up was, what do you players do during rain delays? Because I know fans are in the ballpark, it's raining hard. You guys go into the clubhouse. So what's going on down there?
That's a great question. I think depending how hard the rain is or how soft the rain is, you try to hold out and stay in the bullpen or the dugout as long as you can until you come to the realization that, oh, wow, okay, we might not be playing for a while. So at that point, it's take it back into the clubhouse and everyone just kind of just hangs out. I like to take my cleats off altogether and just get comfortable,
Make yourself at home.
Yeah, just post up on the couches that we have in there and just, I don't want to be wearing cleats because it might be an hour. It might be 2 hours of our rain delay. It might be 30 minutes. You just never know. So there's just no reason for me to just be sitting in cleats this entire time when I can just be in some sandals or just in my socks. And you kind of just hang out. We'll play cards, eat food, talk, just do whatever we can do to pass the time until it's time to get back out there.
Because you're right. You don't know how long it's going to last.
Obviously, we never know with the rain delay what the, duration is going to be. So we just find a way to kill time in the meantime.
I'm going to put you on the spot here because you are a bullpen guy.
Okay.
So what are some of the rated G? What are some of the best pranks or games that you played in the bullpen throughout your career?
Wow. I think a few of my favorite games was that we would throw a baseball out to the other end of the bullpen. And then everyone else would have a baseball in their hand, and we'd try to throw or roll the baseball to get as close to that baseball as possible. And whoever was furthest away from the baseball that day would end up taking the bag of baseballs in from the bullpen into the clubhouse after the game was over. So
and nobody wants to do that.
Nobody ever wants to do that. Exactly. Nobody ever wants to be the one who has to pick up all the stuff after the game's over, because you have to wait till the game's over to start putting everything back in the bags and carry everyone's stuff out. And so whoever was the loser of that game, by being the furthest away, would determine for us. So it got competitive and it was fun. Sometimes the catcher would have his bag out there and we would take his baseball bat and just start playing pepper if the bullpen was covered enough that no one could see us, obviously, because we have to maintain the professional look.
Your secret's safe here. Nobody's going to watch this.
So. We'd play some pepper with the baseball bat if we were bored. It's just a lot of, those first few innings, especially as long as, the starter's doing his job, there's not really a reason for us to, lock into the point of being too focused, because the reality is that you can only be focused for so long. And so you have to pick and choose when the time is to be focused. And so obviously it's important let's say the starter's doing well and now it's the sixth inning. It's like, okay, no more games. Let's look in, you do some stretches, some warm-ups that you need to do, because when the time comes and the phone rings, that there is no time
Right.
to warm up, to stretch, do anything. Like, you have to have your glove in your hand and you have to be throwing a ball immediately. So you better be as ready as you can. So from the 6th inning on is really when there's no more games and everybody locks in. And if, obviously we never want that, but if the starter's struggling, then we start to focus in, earlier in the game, and just the game kind of gives us an idea of when we need to start getting ready for ourselves as well.
Well, I don't want you to name names or call anybody out, but I'm assuming in your career, there have been times when either you've been, maybe not you specifically, but there have been guys that have been playing pranks and they're goofing off in the bullpen because they don't think they're going to be in, and then the phone rings and they have to get loose.
And it definitely has happened time and time again, year after year, no matter where you are in college or pro ball, where that happens, where, you don't expect to be the one to be the call, or you don't expect there to be a call at all, where, you felt like, okay, the starter's fine, or you just lost track of how many pitches he's thrown to the situation of the game, or like, you didn't expect to be the one in being the first call. And so that definitely happens where, you get caught off guard, and the rush job, takes place, where you got to rush and panic to get yourself as ready as possible. And obviously those are not the fun times. And so you got to
never happened to you though, right? Obviously never happened to you.
Never happened to me, of course.
Okay,
never. That's why, as you become a veteran of the bullpen and understand what's, the ebbs and the flows of the game, then you start to realize, all right, when I need to be mentally prepared and physically prepared, and it helps you, cut down on that chance of happening.
All right. So last couple for you. Again, we're very thankful for Rio Gomez for joining us. All right. So Salem specific, last year you made it to Salem for the first time. You had, I think it was about a 2.80 ERA in about 20 games. And it's obviously got to be frustrating this year that you're thinking, okay, I'm going to take another step, and instead there might not be a season. So what's that feeling like? And also, what were you looking forward, or are you looking forward to accomplishing in Salem whenever you get the chance to pitch again?
Yeah, obviously, you're absolutely right. I was looking to take, another step forward, and that's the way this game moves, that if you're not moving forward, you're going to be moving yourself out. And so I think from the mindset point, you just have to realize that everybody's in the same boat. So as even though you were trying to take that step forward, well, nobody else in the minor leagues, nobody else in the organization can take that step forward either. So you guys everyone's just staying the same, stagnant where they were, and that's okay, because this situation obviously affects everybody. I think last year accomplishing the playoff clinch, and making the playoffs, and especially going from what the first half of the season was like, where it looked like there was no hope in sight, to where we clinched the playoffs the second half, and won the division. I think that was a huge accomplishment on its own, and I was really proud of that fact, to be a part of both those teams and just watch the change take place from early spring to the dog days of the summer, where we were able to compete and win more games than everyone else, obviously. So yeah, that's it's always nice when you have another half to kind of everything starts new again. It was a nice turnaround.
All right, last one for Rio. We'll get you out of here in kind of a fun question. You were, growing up, or even now, who are your favorite sports teams? And I'll just start with that. Kind of your favorite sports to watch other than baseball, and some of your favorite teams.
Yeah. So as a kid growing up from Phoenix, the Diamondbacks were always my team. They're just the home team. When they won the World Series in 2001, I was 7 years old, and I think that's what any 7-year-old baseball fan could ask for, was to have their team win the World Series. And it was an awesome feeling, and it's just cool because, we weren't the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, the powerhouse teams of the MLB. And so for us to
they'd only be around for like maybe 7 or 8 years to that point, right?
Yeah, it was a short time. And so it was really fun to watch that. And so I still love to tune in and see how the D-backs are doing year after year. My other favorite sports to watch are football and soccer, European soccer.
Oh, nice. Do you have a team out there?
Yeah, Tottenham is actually my club. So that's who I like to follow in the EPL. And then
do you get up at say 4 or 5 a.m. to watch their matches?
No, you know what? Luckily, sometimes when they're on the East Coast, you don't have to get up that early to watch. And they only play on Sundays, so it's pretty great that you get to, you know, you just tune in before you get to the stadium, or even when you're at the stadium for those Sunday day games that, the game's on, and you can just catch up there, which is great. And then obviously the World Cup, I love when the Euros are happening and the World Cup as well. And for the World Cup, my team is Colombia. My mom's side is Colombian. She was born in Colombia, so it's great that they have a really dominant soccer team that competes in the World Cup.
Well, you know, I'll end on this question actually, because I think it's an important question. Like you said, your mom's Colombian, your dad is Cuban, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
so how
Cuban.
important are their heritages and your heritage to you, and the fact that you're playing baseball, that you come from an immigrant family, maybe your parents were born here, but you know, I'm sure your grandparents came here as immigrants. And what is it like for you to be a Cuban and Colombian American, and to pitch, and kind of how important is that, the way you carry yourself every day, and the fact that you're in minor league baseball and you're trying to accomplish a dream?
Yeah, I think my dad set the standard high, and you know, led us all to believe what the American dream can be, because he grew up in Miami and didn't have much as a kid. They were lower middle class, and was just able to make his own dream happen, and he never gave up on it. And so I think he's always instilled in me and my brother and my sister to just pursue that American dream of yours until you can't, because good things happen when you try and when you go after it. And so I think me playing, you know, at this level, minor league baseball, and the dream is obviously major league baseball, I am living what my American dream is at this moment. And it's incredible. I mean, my family is so proud of me, and it's obviously baseball is a huge part of the Cuban side of our culture, not so much Colombia, but it's a growing sport out there too. And so it's been awesome. And one of my big dreams actually is coming up this next year is to be able to play in the World Baseball Classic for the Colombian team.
Yeah, that would really be awesome. And I think a lot of certainly fans of the Salem Red Sox, I think they'd be really thrilled to watch somebody that they've grown up with. And hopefully they'll get to know a lot more coming up, pitching the World Baseball Classic. All right, Rio, we appreciate you joining us. Wish that I was talking to you in person. It was a pregame interview before one of our games coming up.
Hopefully that comes soon.
Yeah, absolutely. But you've been great. Good luck with everything working out, and good luck to Tottenham whenever their season resumes. I know they had kind of a tough go of it towards the end, but
this year's been a tough one, but last year was a great year, so I think that's all. That's okay with me right there.
Well, you've got Jose Mourinho, who's, you know, he's just a guy that likes to keep everything under control and not really do anything.
Yeah, no, they're a fun team to watch. So especially last year when they shocked everybody, so that was pretty cool.
Yes. All right. Well, Rio, we really appreciate you joining us. Hopefully, we'll see you out there pitching sooner rather than later, and maybe we'll catch up with you later on, a little longer this pandemic goes, to see how everything's going. But thanks, Rio. Appreciate you joining us.
Great. Thank you, Greg.